I like to think about it like the Photoshop of live stream. As a beginner, you can create really simple things, but if you dive in deep, you can create more and more and more and more.
Appreciate y'all locking in. This is DJs Not DJing Wednesday night. PolyPop Live is in the building, y'all. Awesome.
Hey, there they are.
There we
There they are.
Oh,
Hey.
how are you guys?
Oh, we have two people on today. Awesome. So,
Yeah, it's Ammo and Near Darm, right?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Ammo's with
Hi
us
guys,
as well.
how are you?
Sick.
Good. How are you?
Very good.
Great.
Thank you guys, first of all, for coming in and helping us to further like explore what PolyPop Live can be for streamers, for content creators and stuff, because the few of us that discovered it got real excited about it real quick and we're like, hey, we want to share this with everybody. And then we got into the Discord and you guys are super responsive and super helpful in your community. And we're like, maybe let's reach out to them and see if they want to like just, come on and talk about it and share firsthand stuff with us. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we thank you guys for inviting us. This is we're super happy to chat with the community.
What I first want to know is, can you please explain to us from your position, explain to us and the audience, what is PolyPop Live? Just to start there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so PolyPop Live is really a tool to kind of create interactive experiences to kind of connect with your audience. That's kind of our official tagline. And part of that is it's being driven by this game engine. And so using that game engine, you can kind of create all these dynamic experiences. And as such, as being a game engine, it also has 3D and it has a bunch of these other effects kind of built in. But fundamentally, we see it as kind of a way of building interactive experiences in whatever medium you prefer, like live streaming or live mediums. That's really our crux. That's our North Star, what kind of guides us in terms of understanding the features that we're going to add and the kind of things that excite us personally for the stuff that we enjoy kind of messing around with.
Yep.
Where are you at right now? Like what part of the world are you in?
We're in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, snap.
Are you seriously?
Oh, really?
Joshua Carl's from Boston as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Really Boston or like somewhere around Boston?
Well, physically right now we're in Cambridge.
Okay.
Okay.
You're
I live
like-
in Braintree, but
Right, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe.
But I work in Boston, so
Yeah. I live in Connecticut and I'm from that area too as well. So great.
And then we're over on the West Coast.
Yeah. Those other two guys are
in
California
Sacramento,
guys.
California.
sorry.
We're already in shorts out here. I would like to know a little bit about your background, what led you to PolyPop Live, and what made you passionate about, or what was your motivation behind developing this software?
Yeah. So my background is kind of graphics and 3D engines and that kind of stuff. I kind of started developing a 3D engine a long time ago, and eventually kind of merged it. It was originally supposed to be a kind of a VJ tool, a tool for like live music and that kind of stuff. They connected to live visualizations, and then it became a little bit more ambitious. It became more like a Unity-like tool. It slowly kind of developed. But I think ultimately the scope became kind of large because these, Unity, these kind of tools are so open-ended that you can do so much stuff with them that the scope became kind of out of scope, and it made more sense to kind of start to kind of narrow down the focus a little bit. And so me and Nir together, we started kind of redefining what the product could be, and kind of slowly developed PolyPop basically.
Yeah, my background is I was working at a public VR lab in Boston, and that's how we met basically, because we had like this VR tool, and then at some point we partnered together. And during the pandemic, we started watching live stream because there was nothing else really to do, and we were baffled by we were kind of shocked how people are using really high-end computers and really sophisticated games, but the live stream itself was really old-fashioned. It was flat and very simple, and I don't want to say boring, but very like 20 years ago. It hasn't been changed in many years.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and we were, and since we are coming from this VR world that everything is like spatial and can interact and everything, we said, oh my God, we can fix this. It's like a no-brainer. It wasn't as simple as it sounds, but
Right, yeah.
The idea was there. Yeah. Like executing that is the hard
the
part.
idea
for
was
sure.
totally there, and that's what we've been doing since then, basically. And yeah, I think our goal was to create a tool that will be very, very interactive, that will allow the streamer to interact with the viewers in a much more engaging and modern way, like 2020. It was 2020, now it's 2022, but 2021, 22 way. So yeah, that's how we started.
Curious, when you were thinking of your target audience being streamers, had you considered DJs and musicians as part of that group of people that you were targeting?
Yeah, I think so. I think ultimately it's not even just about live streaming. It's about live shows. And again, the fundamental, like where it started, it was really as a VJ tool. It's like a live tool to kind of visualize music. And so that's kind of what its pedigree is from, and its DNA in some sense. So absolutely, I think we're really excited potentially to kind of see what DJs and musicians and how they can kind of use this tool, not just for live stream, but potentially for live shows as well, and kind of connect things together and kind of build dynamic shows. And we're all about like taking interesting data and then using that data to potentially kind of drive something interesting, an interesting experience to kind of engage the audience. So we're all for that. I think absolutely DJs and live musicians are always part of our kind of our end goal, I think.
Yeah, in the like on your website and documentation and things, it definitely, you can feel like the passion of what you guys are trying to do. And I love that. It's really exciting. Obviously, we're all really excited to see how we can use it, but it's a game changer. I mean, it's totally different than, what anybody's using right now. So I think it's going to be great. And I'm glad you guys are so, into it.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you're literally just talking to the two people that are behind it. So you
amazing.
tell us.
What a world.
We're in, guys. We're in.
That's part of the fun. I think, we're not like a huge, we don't have investment, right? We're bootstrapped. And so it enables us to kind of follow our nose and kind of go after interesting things. We're this is what we do this for. We're excited about like listening to people and say, oh yeah, that would be fun. Let's do that. This is what it's all about. And so that's kind of, we're excited to hear. We're happy to hear that you guys kind of are feeling that too, because that's exactly what we're trying to like get at the crux at in some sense.
Yeah. Being such a small team can be challenging, but it also has lots of benefits because, as Amos said, I mean, when you have an idea, we can execute it really, really fast. Okay, things that in big companies might take weeks or months, we can make in days, basically. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
What I think what first kind of drew me to PolyPop is finding that for me, seemingly it was multiple things that I had already been using, and to some extent all under one roof. And that for me was like, this is really cool, because for me, it's like you have the live functionality of live streaming, similar to like a Streamlabs OBS, something like that as well as a broadcasting, piece of equipment or software. And then you have the back end kind of interactivity that like, say like the I did it for because Billy does it, Leorin board, or like a, a digital stream deck or whatever with interactivity with Twitch and calling the API and doing a lot of that stuff as well. And also kind of stream effects, which has very, very layman kind of 3-dimensional and a 2-dimensional space kind of situation, and it's all here under one program. And with some of the noodling and how you can connect these things is a lot easier and a little bit more easily digestible than some other programs and stuff out there that you don't need to be a computer programmer, you don't need to know how to do C++ to get this shit to work. Like you don't got to drag be a couple ninja. Things.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than
it just works.
Right.
Trying to figure something out and be like, oh, there's a JSON code you can. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because
we're very aware of how people are intimidated by code. I mean, whenever we want to do create something immediately, no coding. I mean, we go to the Discord. We sometimes say to tell someone just add this one line of code. No. You lost me. No code. So
true.
That's also a motto of us. No coding. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So the fact that it's more user friendly, it combines. To me, it's like in the DJ world, it's a mashup. It's a mashup of a lot of those things all together, and it's making this really cool and it's really exciting. So to see where it goes from here, I'm very excited.
I like to think about it like the Photoshop of live stream. When you use a Photoshop, it's a big app that you can. As a beginner, you can create really simple things, but if you dive in deep, you can create more and more and more and more. And that's how I think we see PolyPop. It's like a very creative tool. If you think about it, you'll probably be able to use it, make it somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. When I play with it, it's like, I wonder what happens if I connect this to that. I end up doing a lot of that. And that's why it's great, is because you can just do that.
I think
you can just combine those things. And I think we're going to talk about,
Sure.
features and stuff
Sure.
later, but obviously we're all really excited. You can probably tell.
What really helped me out a lot too was the tutorial that was written for it. That really got me into the workflow because it was a little bit of a, it's a new interface. And so I'm learning where is everything? How do I do what I want to do? And the tutorial really did get me off and running. And so I wanted to thank you for doing that.
Cool.
A lot of more software needs that, honestly. And that was super helpful in sending me on my hours and hours of rabbit hole learning what to do. And it was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, we're always worried with that because we also don't want to like frustrate the people who are just like, I just want to go and just start to play right away. And then it's like, I got to do these tutorials. So there's always that balance. But yeah, we kind of said, okay, we don't want to let you close it. We kind of want to force you to do it because it's like, once you know a few little things, it really opens up the door. So we're glad to hear that you kind of like that because the feedback has been, we think it's supposed to be positive, but we don't know that it could be that people are saying that and they're like deep inside are like, I don't really like the tutorials, but it sounds like they're doing their mission.
It's the right move. It definitely is because we definitely saw with the pandemic as most of us here were kind of arguably got a hold of things a little bit sooner than most people did. So people would hit us all up and be like, I want this and I want it now. And it's like, all right, well, download the onboard and then, you gotta have to do this. And they're just like, no, never mind. And it's just like, well, you're not going to get to the yolk unless you crack through the egg and, you get, so people want stuff immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
But putting that there it was because it did to me. Cause I'm like, I know what this terminology means. Like, come on, man, let me get through this. And I'm like, oh, all right. I didn't see that coming. Okay. Let me slow down a little bit and take this in.
I really like the
it's
way
also like the development of the tutorials. I mean, when we were thinking about tutorials, we were wondering what kind of tutorials to make. Should we make like a video? Should we make like an explainer? But then we decided to make it an in-app interact tutorial, which was very challenging because we had to basically build a whole different layer inside the app that actually makes you do it while you learn. But that it proved to be really important, smart because people, as you said, do it and understand what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I did like one of the tutorials twice because like I went and did it and then I was like building some stuff and I was like, well, wait, I wanted to do a thing. And I was like, I went back and looked through the tutorials again. I'm like, I'm going to do this again because I don't think I'm doing it right because I just like wasn't doing it what I wanted it to. But then, after doing that, I'm like, it's right there.
So what do you think? Should we add more tutorials? Because we can. I mean, there are different kind of stuff we can talk about, but we always wonder, would people go back to that after the introduction?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Tooltips, like the hover, like turn on tooltips. So a function like Serato has this feature. If you've never used it before, you turn on tooltips, and when you move your mouse over stuff, a window will pop up and say, "This is a cue point. This is where the song starts." Or you move it to a loop, and it'll tell you what every single function does. Then you can turn off tooltips and go about your way. It's probably that's probably especially in the DJ realm. We all kind of know that.
Yeah.
It's funny. Some Machine of Death said, as a gamer, I hate tutorials, but for something like this, I really appreciate it. And I think that's so true because every time you get a game, you're like, it's a shooter. I know how to reload. I know how to aim. Like, don't make me go over to this guy and listen to his kind of cutscene.
Right.
Like,
these mechanics have been in games forever. You're trying to teach me something I don't know.
I think as it grows and as you guys find more where you guys have a pretty good idea of where you are, but like as you guys develop and make, because you guys just recently made a pretty big hefty patch update for for a lot of new features and things like that. I think when rollouts happen and certain like that, like, hey, we just added this new feature, like here's a cool tutorial on what you could do to maybe start it or whatever. I don't think anybody would because it's like it's not hindering somebody that's already starting to use it. It's just, an additional resource if people want to learn something else or whatever.
More work for you. More work for you.
That's right.
I do.
Everything is more work for us.
Right.
I love the tutorials. I think if you added more, like I like what's there now because it's compact and it's the basics. Yep. But I think having optional, more advanced tutorials would be really good.
Sure.
Because the way you guys did it with having to actually click on the stuff, that's like the best way to learn it.
Yeah.
So.
Having evergreen content on YouTube too probably wouldn't hurt as well. I know you guys
the videos that they have up there.
You guys are growing. You guys are working on your YouTube channel.
Speaking of YouTube, also I've been seeing some like high level streamer profiles sharing your app. That's been pretty awesome. That's honestly how I saw you guys to begin with.
Same.
That's got to be awesome. Congratulations on that.
No, it's awesome, and you feel the impact. I mean, once they talk about it, you immediately see a bump in the usage. So these guys have impact.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a modest show, but I'm sure you get a few more DJs using your app from today's interview for sure.
Well, the funny thing about
happy to talk with users, and if you use PolyPop, we love you. That's fine.
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Automatically on our A list.
I did see you guys are starting to stream on Twitch too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just started.
Yeah.
We plan to make it like it takes a lot of time. You probably know.
Sure.
But
Preach into the choir,
the
my
original
friend.
idea said, hey, let's just live stream, talk to the community, and then oh my god, it was so much prep work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the show is the easy part. Being live, that's the easy part. It's the week of prep to do 1 hour or
Can we
whatever.
get a shout out to the PolyPop Live Twitch channel? There it goes. Raphi's already on.
Yeah, I
Perfect.
got you.
Thank you, man.
Perfect.
Appreciate that. Right now, we're talking with PolyPop Live's developers, and man, this is so exciting. Thank you so much for being here. Like, I have been really going crazy on it. Rev with the 420. Thanks, man. There you go. Here's some PolyPop combination going on right there. We got the bits flying,
Oh boy.
the sub going, the 3D
Oh,
text,
man.
and then I have a stinger transition in the background as well, kind of like adding it all together. And this is
Very
like,
cool.
a few hours of trying to figure it out. And man, it's been awesome. I'll show you real quick. Check this out, y'all. This is my PolyPop right now. And as you
Wait a minute, let me open it on my phone because we are in Zoom and we can't see it on the stream.
got it.
they're about to tear you up.
Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna critique the shit out of you.
But
Everybody
Okay, you
uses
can go.
PolyPop a little bit differently from what I've been gathering with my friends. I am using OBS Studio as my broadcasting software. So I'm bringing in PolyPop as a virtual camera. And so we're coming in, and here's my PolyPop. You can see, just as a general thing, I've got my Twitch alerts, my YouTube alerts, and Twitter alerts signed in and ready to go. And then I have the follower alerts. If you go to the different things, like the follow alert is noodled to an action sequence, and then a bunch of 3D text alerts. So if I go to show you some of the stuff that's going on here, here's the noodling action that we were talking
Love
about.
it.
So
That's one of my favorite things about this software is just that you can draw the noodles. I'm not lying.
it's
one
like
of my favorite,
Reason.
Yeah,
Like,
it's awesome.
the propeller head.
That's the first time we've heard this term
Yeah.
noodles, by the way.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually
We just call them wires, but
that's what-
Wires,
better.
yeah.
Why I call them wires.
Well, okay,
That's
so-
like I said from Reason.
noodling. Yeah, noodling is something that I picked up from an application called Shake. I don't know if you guys remember that app at all. It's a node-based application, and when you connected the nodes, the line was called a noodle. And so I've used that term for anything. I even use that in Reason. Reason's another software that uses the cabling type of connection. And,
Patch wires, got it, right.
Yeah, exactly. So the patch cables, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, like, you can boil those noodles. I don't know. There's maybe some
Yeah.
We missed the mark. It's polypasta, not polypop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Make sure to tip your waitress, guys.
Right.
Have a good night.
So this is a very simple situation. I have a few different more complicated ones, but we'll start with something simple. So what I have here is, here's a new follower. And what happens when a new follower comes in is you follow the lines to these actions. So what it's going to do is it's going to make it visible, turns the visibility on, and then it's going to generate a text that says, this follower has just followed, right? And then I have what I learned was the action sequence, which is super handy. I'll talk to you about this a little bit because I have a bone to pick with y'all. You have an action sequence, and in the action sequence, it says stop all other instances. So if there's something else going on, it stops that from happening. And then I want it to wait for 10 seconds, and then I want it to emit an alert, which means basically send the command to turn the visibility of the
To
text.
do a thing.
Right.
Like the emit alert is to do one of the things. Right.
And then to further move things down, this is literally from the tutorial, honestly. If you move further things down, I go to this little drill down on this little area right here called mods. And then in the mods section, by the way, you can see that there was a mouse over thing there, Josh, he was talking about.
Mhm.
And then, so in the mods, I have one of the mods is called a spin action. And you can see here, if I go to the mods, if I hit plus, there's all these different things that you could add. which is awesome. And under the spin action, you have the action, and the action is to spin. So here's everything. It all logically makes sense to me. I'm telling it that I want it to turn on. I'm telling it that I want it to emit a specific kind of text. I'm telling it that I want it to spin when it comes on. And then I want it to wait 10 seconds or stop all other instances, wait 10 seconds, and then turn it all off. And so when you see it in firsthand, you're going to see it doubling up. Actually, let me do something fancy real quick here.
I just want to chime in and say this is classic Billy. Like here's my really basic setup with like all this shit, like just people's minds like that are watching, they're just melting. Everybody go down
we
the software.
We can follow. That's
you guys. Yeah, I hope you guys can follow that.
This is why I have other people on the show.
No, it's also I have to say it's very interesting to see how people uses the app, because everybody uses it differently and everybody has his own, because it's so you can create things in so many ways. Every person like creates it in a different way. It's very interesting.
So in order to run it, I'm going to hit test, and there's the test. And you see that it comes out, it spins, it stays out for 10 seconds, and then eventually at the end, once this action sequence kicks in, there it goes. It goes away. And so, yeah, I'm super excited for this application. As soon as I was able to start doing stuff like that, I went off, and I love it. I love it. It's super dope.
FYI, you can use it also as a virtual camera for Zoom. So right now we are broadcasting through PolyPop. So you can add. This is something I created for you because I wasn't sure. So this is like an example. Oh, sorry. This is. Oh my God.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, cool.
Look at that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
We pin them up.
So just to show how things can interact with each other, and so this is our screen moving, and then I can lift the screen back up, and then all the hearts will fall.
Look at that. See, you guys.
Another thing. Wait a minute.
It's been hours on this damn app. This is so dope. Look at that. Oh, it's so good.
So if you doing Zoom interviews, you can definitely. Oh, look at him! Someone else is doing PolyPop. Oh man.
That's good.
Very nice.
I love the mods are insane. I love them.
The breakaway box, like when the camera source can like blow up and stuff. That's
love that. Yeah, absolutely love that. There's Ratfink with his.
Here's another thing. Look, you can also pick your user. You probably know that by now, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you can show all your followers or subs, and you can also pick a card with the user. So let's do that. Just a second.
I know. I recognize that guy. That guy's in your Discord all the time. The cartoon face.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Jab.
look who
Jab,
it
right?
is.
Yeah.
Oh my God! You got picked.
Hey!
Yes.
We winner.
All right. Outstanding.
Very cool.
Yeah, we do like things that require picking a user from the audience all the time on the show. Normally, I'm actually broadcasting from the shop, Sacramento Tech Exchange. If we can get an exclamation point STE in the chat, that'd be awesome. I'm broadcasting live from the shop, and so we sell all kinds of things like microphones and cameras and refurbished computers and things like that, right? And so we'll do giveaways from the shop all the time, and having creative ways to pick a winner is amazing, right? I love
a visual way too.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, people like to see their own profile picture dances around in your live stream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you with the new Twitch API? Have you guys had to kind of have all hands on deck with the last few weeks with the drop off, or were you guys pretty much ready to go with the new stuff? Like how was that transition for you guys? Because for us it was like the stuff that we've been using for interactivity or whatever is not going to work anymore, and like this is broken, that's broken. How was that time for you guys?
Yeah, it worked out actually. For whatever reason, we ended up working with the latest API from the beginning, so there was no actual work needed.
Smart.
Easy. Yeah. Perfect.
That's
Good
it.
timing.
Yeah, perfect timing.
No, listen, you don't know Amo, but before he decides something, he does such a deep research. So if he picks something, there probably was a reason for that. So yeah.
That's perfect. Y'all are ready.
Calculated. I love it.
And I got to tell you, of anybody in this space, you guys were a rarity. And honestly, I would think that's kind of surprising, but and I thank you for it, honestly, because yeah, your guys' app just worked right away. I was like, oh, it must already have. I must have missed an update, or it must have worked all along. And I looked in the Discord again. Very helpful information in the Discord. I looked in the Discord, and yeah, you guys were talking about how it was already written for the new API from day one, and we're good. We're good to go. So whatever everyone else is worried about, that's not our problem, basically.
Yeah.
Until the next API.
Until the next one,
Yeah.
Woo,
Once we've been around the block a couple times, we're a new kid on the block. It's shiny. It works.
Yeah, but it's more complicated, because we have the API of YouTube too to work with,
Sure.
and all kind of other platforms. So yeah, it's more challenging to just switch.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's Twitter. I have Twitter and YouTube also connected. I haven't done a whole lot with the APIs from those yet, but I love that you have that option. Super awesome. I want to talk about what's coming, what you have planned for the future of PolyPop Live, including like maybe some updates that are around the corner and maybe some like prospective goals further down the line. If you could, please, that'd be awesome.
Oh, we're done. Actually, that's it.
That's it. That's it.
It's all on us now.
If you don't like it,
We can retire. Yeah. We did our thing.
No, there's a big update coming up, hopefully next week, where we're adding transitions finally, so you can do all
yay!
the transitions. Yeah, I know that was a big request.
Very cool.
Wait a minute. It's a really nice. It's all the regular transitions, but also a twin transition, which actually is going to be really cool, because if you're going to have the same object in two different scenes, it in the 3D space, they will like twin and arrange themselves accordingly.
Oh, we're gonna like that.
Cool.
So
Yeah, so
are we
like
thinking
that.
like the move transition in OBS to where like if on this scene this screen is here, but when I switch to the transition and that same object is here, but it's over here, that will kind of repopulate itself over there?
But the cool thing is that all properties will be animated. So image filter properties, all the mod properties, everything will be cross-faded. So you can imagine how many permutations you can do when you connect like one scene, as long as you correlate them with the same name.
Right.
As long as the properties it can correlate to two properties. So all the mods, like all the physics properties, all the image filter properties, everything will blend across the transition. So it's really cool.
So
Wow,
big
that's
things
up-
like object, but also small things like color. So if you have the screen is red and then it's purple, the color will change automatically, like gradiently. Into
Oh, sure. Oh, wow. That's
it's
cool.
really fun.
That sounds awesome.
Very cool.
So that's one big.
Yeah, the other thing
thing.
is layers, being able to group things in sub layers, all that kind of stuff, which will help kind of organize stuff.
It will help organize, but also once you group group several layers together, you can also tweak them together in space.
As a group.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I noticed the little trick for nesting scenes. That wasn't very obvious at first, but then once I learned how to do it, it was pretty damn easy. It's just a copy paste. And we've been talking about nesting scenes in OBS Studio forever. We're definitely, that's something that we practice. I love that you have that ability already in PolyPop Live. That's awesome. What else you got coming up in the near future? Maybe perspective down the line, what you would like to do further down, or
What you're comfortable with disclosing.
Yeah. No top secrets. Obviously, we don't want.
Well, I think the big one, a lot of the requests is just audio. There's like a big pass that we got to do on audio. So that's a big thing that we're working on. Just in general, support for certain devices, filters, that kind of stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's like the kind of critical things, like also like, compressors, things that right now they'll be clipping. For instance, if you have lots of audio sources that add up all together and they kind of go over, we'll be able to compress that down. So you don't have to worry about managing your mix as tightly as you have to do it now with PolyPop. And so we're definitely spending a lot of time adding a lot of those audio features just because that's definitely been high on the request list. And undo, I know. Undo
All right.
Yes.
Wonderful. All my questions are getting answered. Yeah, I'm terrible.
We should order it by the
great.
clapping, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
As far as the audio sources, you talk about dynamic compression. Does that include like a VST 2.0 type of support, or?
I think so. Yeah, we still have to do a little bit of work on that, but I think VST support would be really nice. So you can bring in your plugins and
Very
do all
cool.
sorts of things. So yeah, that's definitely high on our list.
Love that.
Is PolyPop Live able to send out like audio at 320? Like what's the audio bitrate that it's putting out at the moment?
Yeah, so right now you can choose the bit rates with regards to live streaming or video recording. You can go up to 320, all those the standard bit rates. But if there are other specifics that people want, we're happy to add them. Are there particular formats or things that people really prefer?
No, 320 AAC is usually all good with us personally.
Yeah. For music, that's what we need.
Well, that on our end, the big question is, being like DJs and this kind of what kind of features would be like super awesome to have? Like, are there particular workflows? I guess we're really kind of interested to hear from you guys too. Like,
oh, we're there. Sure. Yeah, that's why I was saving the best for last. Let's get into that. You want us to dig in? We'll dig in. We got it. Yeah.
Sure.
I have my pen.
All right. Well, one thing that I use heavily is NDI, and I've noticed a little bit of an inconsistency with recognizing NDI sources on the LAN. But as far as like a feature request goes, you already answered my question. I wanted to talk about the dynamic audio processing and VST plugin support and things of that nature, because as far as DJs go, the audio to me is like the most important part. It needs to be sounding great. And then the video, in a lot of ways, is secondary, right? And nothing makes a video look better than great audio. That was my biggest feature request, was more options when it comes to being able to process the audio signal and processing multiple audio channels and things like that as well, like busing and things of that nature.
Got it.
Yep.
Multiple audio channels. Could you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So right now, as far as multiple inputs are happening, I have this microphone is its own source. The turntables back there are their own source. And there could be another microphone that's its own source and things like that. I could have a live PA going where there's a drum machine involved with it as well. So you start mixing multiple audio sources in. I use VST plugins to sort of keep the dynamics of that mix correct, and being able to house that inside of the streaming software instead of maybe running like a digital audio workstation underneath everything. But yeah, that's where I was going with it as far as the audio processing goes. And then being able to create submixes and adding effects to those submixes, general like DAW type stuff is what I was looking for. And I wanted to work around the room. Now, I know Fader is on the edge of his seat. Could you please? Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
I have a pretty simple question for you guys. Is it possible within the technology that you guys have to maybe come up with something that is able to take, like a Twitch emote that maybe a PNG, maybe a transparent background or whatever, and just take it and just basically render a very small extrude, like something that's like very simple, very done. That way we could you can maybe convert, the 2D to a 3D image and something like that. Is that something that, think is possible for you guys, or something that's on the table maybe?
I think so. Yeah. So you're thinking using the alpha mask to define the edges for the extrusion? Or just like a simple, I definitely think it's possible. It's a good idea. Like kind of a dynamic coin kind of thing.
Be careful with him. He can do everything. So.
Hey, that's you know what I'm saying? Like, because I think a lot of people would be able, this is like, a model that I that I made like in Blender, but like and that took a while, because like I went into Illustrator and had to go and export it as like a SVG, and then went into Blender and did all that. Like, I don't think everyone's gonna do that because I'm nuts, but like that but I want but like I wanted to have that, you know what I mean? So that was what was important to me. But like, I think for the end users, someone who maybe that not as crazy as I am, or into like the 3D modeling part of that or whatever, something a little bit more user friendly for them to be able to kind of to grab something in like a 3-dimensional kind of space. Only and I say this only because there are some things in the software that the properties that a 3-dimensional object within PolyPop can do that a 2-dimensional one can't. Like you're taking like a rotation on like the y-axis to make like a like a flip or something like that. I would love to see a 2-dimensional object be able to kind of do that too, either from like a like this. My little guy down here is like my Twitch alert. So like the test of it on the bottom, you can see like the simple animation from the original Twitch tutorial. I kind of took it and tweaked it a little bit, but if you see that little, I've got like a little helmet, little stormtrooper guy down there. I'd love to have that when that would pop on, just, maybe flip around in like that 3-dimensional, space, because some of the, the noodles or the, the patches, the cables that you can, go ahead and,
they're officially called noodles now, by the way.
To do different things. To go and some of these things are available, and then I think one of the things that I was like talking to Billy about that I think would be cool is to be able to on new follower, I want to be able to transform it or to do some similar things like that.
That has been added for the next update, so you'll be able to
get some.
Let's go. Perfect.
Yeah. Also, for people who are not familiar with Blender, there is a workaround around it. Not exactly what you asked for, but we have lots of 3D objects that you can actually change their texture. So if you can show my screen for a quick second, I'll just give an example.
Yep.
So you can take your logo and make it 3D. So it's not exactly perfectly the shape of the logo, but you can make it, fly around and do stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think, because that was like one of the initial things for me is like, I love the library of the 3-dimensional stuff that was there. But again, like in that DJ mindset or that unique content or content creator mindset is like, I want stuff that's like, you're only going to see it on my channel as well. Right. And one of the other things that I would love, that I would love to see personally is that, there is a functionality within the 3D particle emitter. I'm going to get real nerdy here for a second. There's a functionality,
get ready.
Functionality within the 3D particle emitter that is random, that, can move around the screen and kind of do the things, you know what I'm talking about, right? I would love if somehow you could attach something else on top of the emitter so that object can be randomized around on the screen. And I can give you like a for instance, right? Because I have this stupid scene in one of my streams to where I'm inside a cat's mouth.
His streams are great. I highly recommend.
So like
highly recommend
this is basically like could be I have it in another.
We're the group that goes there. In case you didn't know.
Yeah.
we do.
So like I have this in OBS as like a nested scene, right? So this is like the 2D cutout image with my camera source on behind it, and things of that nature. What I would love to do is to be able to have it animate itself in size, to be bigger and smaller, or to like kind of randomize itself throughout on the screen, which I have seen, the 3D particle emitter do through one of the tutorials I watched or something along those lines. And I was thinking like, is there a way to just skin the particle emitter, like to put something over on top of it? That way it can have that functionality too. Cause I'd love to put some weird trippy background video. And then you see me kind of like, going all over the screen or doing some things like that which is one of the things that came to mind. Is it like or that math randomness, whatever the logic is behind that, to be able to apply that to more things, maybe like that we could do that. Cause like, I think that part of it is so cool. Cause in trying to do this in like Leorin board, to like move to source point this, and then to go scale in size or whatever, like I would have to sit there and input hours worth of code to make it even look. Are you guys
familiar with what the Leorin board is? We've been saying it this whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think they would.
It was an assumption. Yeah.
Leon, what?
Yeah.
Listen. First of all, you're familiar with the mods, right? With the random. Okay, so right now you can definitely use your scene inside a 3D screen. Transparent 3D screen, and just move it around as a 3D. So basically all the 3D features will be in that 2D. It's not perfect, I know what you're talking about, but you can definitely, nest the scene in there and move it around and scale it and, do whatever, or give it randomness, movement, or whatever you want.
Yeah.
But the aspect ratio is probably the frustrating thing, because you're forced with the scene, the alt scene thing, you're forced to that HD aspect ratio. So if you want to make it like a square, maybe that's part of the frustration there. Yeah, we definitely hear you. Yep.
Cool. And I think one of the other things that I have is like knowing what we can do with the 3D objects, and which 3D objects PolyPop prefers to use, and if there's ways that we can kind of make make better choices or the right choices for things to be, shaded, skinned correctly, or in the 3D sense.
Hey, I was going to say that, damn it.
Oh, okay. My bad.
The Fader show.
Yeah, because like I have like this great, 3-dimensional, yacht that I have, and I would love for it to be like fully, fully skinned, because in the project file that I have, it is, textured. It is, that kind of thing as well. So I would love, to know, or for there to be a little bit clearer on, if there's, a version, of a format that I need to make sure it's rendered at. I mean, there's some, stuff on the Discord and things like that, but just if there's, polygons is an issue. If like, it should be under this much, it should be under, that, like where we could find out more about like that kind of information.
Yeah, so a lot of that is kind of an art because every 3D graphics program kind of does its own thing in terms of export. We definitely find that FBX is pretty good with a lot of from Blender, for instance. That will preserve a lot of the different types of textures, like the bump maps, the like specular highlight maps, and those kind of things. That comes through pretty well through FBX if you're using Blender. But in general, I totally get it. Maybe some better documentation there is in order to kind of have a better sense of what you should do and shouldn't do. We do have a document that talks a little bit about performance, but we don't really get too much into the polygon counts and things like that. With some of that, it is definitely related to kind of what your tolerance is. So very simple scene, you can pack more polygons in. And so there's not necessarily a one size fits all for that kind of number, but in general, maybe some dynamic system that kind of shows you, okay, you're starting to approach kind of a max for the frame rate you want to sustain and things like that. Would make a lot of sense. So
very cool.
Performance stats.
Yeah, it also really depends on what machine you have. I mean, if you have like a monster machine, you can basically do anything, but it's very, it feels not responsible to tell people, you can do that, and some other people will try it. And
for sure.
So
we know that.
There's a balance there. We need to,
for sure. And just knowing that stuff kind of going in, it's like if I need to, kind of lean toward the FBX files, or like, just doing that kind of stuff for me. Cause like I have a pretty beefy machine that can handle a lot of that stuff. Cause like I had PolyPop, OBS, Zoom, and Blender all open all at the same time. It was like doing a bunch of different things, and like I'm still good. Like so
you're good,
yeah. So I can handle it. So, but like I want to just make sure like I'm on the right track, because like if I'm going and importing something into PolyPop and like it's not skinned correctly, I'm just like, oh man, I really want to try and like build this or use that. So I got to try to figure a workaround for those things.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that yacht thing that it didn't come through at all. Like the textures didn't come through. That's weird. Is there a particular format that you tried, or
I'd have to go back and like look and see exactly what it is. I can
just share it on the Discord. We definitely look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
To give you a little context, Fader does a weekly yacht rock show
live from the yacht.
Yeah, so that's where that comes in.
So yeah, I built like a 14-foot by 11-foot green screen wall in my garage, and like that's where I do like all my streaming and stuff. Like I have this yacht or whatever. If skinned correctly, through hotkeys or whatever, like I could put myself in different areas. On that, given now that like, which one of my other things was like transitions, and to be able to like do that thing, to kind of go from there. And you're talking about move transitions and, things like that would be, really cool. Like, right, we're down here, and then, now we're going to go up and, move around and be over here and do super cool things like that. So I'm really, really excited for the future with that stuff.
Let's lighten up the conversation slightly and get to chat for a second. Big up to Apostle. Appreciate you being here, man. He says, hey, man, it's not about the size of your computer. It's what's inside. Not mad at you for that. Big up Machine of Death, who landed for a 97.61, and Nikki Painter, who landed for a 98.88. I see you.
Mod hacker.
Right?
Very cool.
Big up to Zulish Gozerian, who says that this is incredible. Machine of Death says being super unique is important from a gaming streamer's perspective as well. Meta Pattern says that he's about to import a bunch of Tetris and Rubik's Cube stuff into PolyPop. Spire says, man, this is gonna be a whole other rabbit hole. You ain't lying, bro. And Trox wants to know how hardware intensive the application is.
Yeah. So we're as always, like it definitely has a little bit to do with your tolerance. So if you can have a less powerful system if you're not pushing a ton of stuff. That's fine. We definitely recommend that you have at least a dedicated GPU. That's always good. kind of because all the 3D stuff is obviously done in the GPU. A lot of those kind of effects are driven by there. So it definitely helps. I mean, that being said, if you do have like an Intel driven, like a CPU based GPU, we'll say, that can also handle a lot of stuff as well. So it's not like the end of the world if you don't have it, but it does help to have it.
Pretty sure Trox is running the 30 series. He has no business asking this question, but yeah.
Just wanted
my
to shout
answer
out
would
for
be
what
just try it out. I mean, a lot of people ask us, will it work on my computer? Just check it out. I mean, if it probably will, but if it won't, no harm.
You'll know. Yeah.
You'll know real quick.
If it starts smoking, to close the app.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
That's our recommendation.
Yeah, that's a good indication, right? I had a really simple feature request, and this is going to open up the trolls on my screen right now. So I've been waiting to say this. I'm going to bring up my PolyPop scene again real quick here. Okay, so the incoming raid alert, it works great. There's a raid. Whoa, a raid coming in. Woohoo. All right, 233 people just fake raided. That's amazing. What would be really nice is if I could set a threshold to the amount of users who have raided in, because you can raid with a party of one, and that's basically you're raiding yourself, and it's probably happening right now. I just don't see it. And it kicks the alert. And people in my chat will, once they figure it out, they start trolling with it, and they start.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And so if you could set it to like a threshold of 3, or we could
parameter,
if we can set the threshold.
That's a good one.
Right? To an amount of users, that would be super helpful in avoiding that from happening.
Even a
we could totally add that. That'll be a quick thing.
Awesome. Yeah, there it goes. Gypsy Kid making it happen. Appreciate you, man.
With a party of one.
Right.
Actually, just having that variable option so that you could have it kick over to level up depending on the amount of raids. That was
another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too, is like or if then scenarios.
Yes.
I would love to add that to the action sequences. That's what I was talking about. Going to pick with y'all with the action sequences. They would be perfect. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, totally. I think all those kind of things, especially things like also wait queues, things that say, okay, what if multiple people redeem at the same time, like giving people kind of like priority, kind of equal priority, stuff like that. Yeah, that's all. And if statements, and we definitely are excited to do that as soon as possible because I think
that was. And remember, these aren't complaints. You know what I mean? We'll
That was one of the questions I had about earlier when I saw Billy. You had a thing that said like stop all other animations if this happens.
Stop all instances.
Yeah. So does that mean like everything works on a queue system?
So stop all instances. Yeah, right now we'll stop just that action sequence, any waits that are currently pending in that action sequence, and it stops the rest of those steps. And so, it's not as satisfying as probably what you kind of actually really need. And so we'll totally be addressing that soon.
Very cool.
That's definitely a critical feature.
Yep.
And another thing that we haven't mentioned yet, that like for some of the streamers in here, the PolyPop Live has its own extension in the Stream Deck store, and you can be assigning hotkeys and functions and doing all that stuff in a Stream Deck as well. Because like we're a lot about workflow here and things of that nature. Just a quick shout out to you guys for having that available, because I think that's also really neat.
Are there any other big plugins that people would like in terms of interoperability of other apps? I'd be curious to see if there's any.
One of the things that I was kind of getting into with using another like kind of virtual Stream Deck, which I would love to see, is that I would love to see there be kind of like a that you guys have like some like channel point kind of redemptions and things of that nature. What I would love to see it happen is if I'm in a specific channel, or I'm in a specific scene in like say in PolyPop, right? Then I have like a certain task or a certain level of interactivity that I want to have happen in an interactive thing. But if I switch to say a second scene, that channel point redemption is no longer available.
That's right.
Okay, we forgot to mention it, but we're gonna have in the coming update, it's gonna be a master scene. So that scene will be living above all other scenes. So whatever you add to that,
peer in a lot of ways,
will happen on all the scenes. So that might be able to address that.
Can you see? It's on the stream. Yeah.
Bob
So
Ross.
like, I have this like
Yeah, we
Bob
can see it.
Ross
It's awesome. We get it.
painting stream, right? So like, if I had a like a channel point redemption or for whatever to pop up a paintbrush or like slap a tree on the screen or what have you while I'm in this scene. But then if I transition to like, I have like something like this to where it's like duck hunt, and like I have something programmed to where I can trigger videos of like the gut, like the birds flying up
in Fader's
in my chat.
right now.
Yeah, that's right. So if you type in exclamation point pull, should do that. That's not, but I don't have Leon board open right now. That's why.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So like I would be so that way that instead of being like a chat message, it could be something that people could use and hit and an executable, if you will. That way that like if I'm in this scene, this is there. If I'm not in that scene, it's not there. You know what I mean? Like those kind of like kind of scenarios. There we go. So thank you, Nikki Painter. So like certain scenarios like that, because like usability of different scenes or different things for interactivity for me is like that's where like the juices flow for me with like with all the different things.
No, that's good. Interaction. Scenes for interaction, and they're
right. Just different. I want limited interactivity within. I like other interactivity could be global, like throughout, different things as well. But like if I'm in this scene, this is a thing that's only available when I'm in this scene. You can only eject the DJ and the Star Wars.
So I think the question for that would be: are any of these apps able to send to the Twitch API to the channel point scene to disable and re-enable channel points based on what scene you're in? Because I know on the onboard you can do an OBS poll, which will tell, it'll say like, when in this scene, do XYZ. I don't know if you can tell your Twitch channel page to like tick that box.
I'm not sure either the API allows that, but we will definitely check it.
I've never seen that before.
Going back and thinking about the channel redemption aspect of it, it would be really cool if you could super combo things. So if multiple people redeemed at the same time, more or less, it would just build upon itself, and you could set certain thresholds for it. So if 5 people all did it back to back to back, it would unlock something, because we'll often see people building like ASCII style art, in and doing pyramid combos of like emotes. And so it's like, what aspect could we build to that just to continue to layer in the interactivity of the chat to this tool, which is amazing. And thank you guys so much for that tutorial. On a side note, I'm just going to cheer on that one as someone who really appreciates UX design. I'm just like, oh, this is fun. Like,
it's good to see you in your.
That's the word we were looking for when we built it. We wanted people to have fun. To be honest, really, that was in front of our eyes all the time.
You want to see fun? Check this out. That's perfect segue. Go to your screens on the stream.
We are.
And check this out. This is from a couple of Saturdays ago. We have a mosh pit that we do, and everybody joins the mosh pit, and they can start throwing bottles at each other. And Matt added extra bottles in PolyPop. So whenever someone typed exclamation point bottle in the chat, it started chucking bottles. Let's see if we can bring this up here. Everyone starts mosh pitting, and you can see all the users are going out. It's a great game. We love this game. And then the bottles start flying all over the screen because everyone's typing exclamation point bottle in the chat. You can see it in the chat. They're all typing bottle, and it's chucking bottles. It's making the PolyPop go insane.
I went overboard on how many were being emitted each time.
Oh, it's so good. But you see, there's like everyone's fully engaged. They're loving it, right?
Yeah,
and it's awesome. Oh, who's gonna win? Z deck shots.
I don't remember.
It happened a week ago,
right?
So who won.
Any idea with it? Because like PolyPop is currently like a Windows based system. Do you have plans to bring it to Mac?
Absolutely. It's not. We don't have an exact time at the moment, but it's definitely high on our list because we want to make sure that it's a nice kind of it's available for everybody, obviously. And so absolutely.
Please make it M1 compatible. That's my only request.
M1 compatible. Yeah.
That sounds like they're about future proofing. They were already using the Twitch API.
They were ahead. They're ahead of the game anyway.
It sounds like you're pretty like
M3 compatible.
Just like, please.
That's great to hear because there's not a lot of Mac support on any other streaming platform. So yeah, that's really exciting to hear.
Yep. Well, originally I'm a Mac person, so I always that's always my goal to go back to having a Mac.
as the DJ community lives on Mac for the most part.
Right. So building a custom PC like for streaming and to do all that stuff and like was just was foreign to me. Like I'm like, wait, how do I do this in Windows? Because like I haven't I like on a Mac it just works. Right. So like trying to like that learning curve like to get back here for the pandemic was quite a steep.
I think we all tried to stream on Mac like 2 years ago to the date almost. Yep. We're like, I'll just plug in my Mac and I'll just nope, it ain't happening.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention or ask about was like on some of the patching, because I kind of hinted at it before, but like some of the like being able to animate certain things, because like if you look in like OBS with some of like the source transitions. To be able to like, if we're bringing when something becomes visible, it, can, swipe up or it can, swipe left or down or things like that. Is that something that you guys have kind of like in the works to kind of be able to do?
You're talking about 2D animation?
Yeah, yes, in essence, yes. Yeah. But like for it to be able to say like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna share my screen again.
This guy. Just looking for this guy. Show it off. All right. What do you got?
Like, so say like when when I hit test follow and like that, like that little teal bar pops up, I would love to, have the action sequence be to where to be able to come down into let me actually turn it on. Like, oh, that's not the right thing. This, for like the position for it to be, to start, off screen. Yep. And then, for it to be able to animate on screen, do the other parts of the action sequence, and then, maybe come, off the screen or in certain things like that.
Yeah. So the next update, you will be able to wire to the 2D transform. For whatever reason, in this version, you couldn't. That's been fixed. So you'll be able to create wires. So that'll be part of the action sequence.
Dude, this game on
that's amazing. Like, yeah, it's like I'm getting transitions. I'm getting that shit. Yeah.
Will the transition have easing? As an old Flash hat, I'm just like,
yep. Yeah, there's a big drop down for all the different easing options.
He just wants to run Flash games on it.
Yeah, very cool.
Dude, I can still code in Flash.
I'm sorry.
I have to do it for my job.
Yeah. Homestar. You're going to just make Homestar Runner a thing again or what?
Yes.
That's boomer internet for y'all that you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, if you get that, you're old.
Booger off.
It's all on YouTube. It's great that you guys are like have the same ideas that we do, that you're already working on that stuff. That's awesome. One idea I had, this was just kind of a brainstorming thing that I'm doing. So I messaged you guys on Instagram a couple weeks ago about our Extra
you're
Life
the fundraising guy.
charity stream.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. So we've been brainstorming about how to use this and all, and you guys, talked about like integrations, plugins. Mm-hmm. Extra Life has an API that would be awesome to be like, have actions happen, on a donation or a stretch goal or something like that.
Got it. So it will generate an event like, yeah, exactly as you're saying, on a donation. Any other like interesting things, like a number displaying like the total number would probably be kind of cool.
Yeah. So because there's like a mix of things that are kind of duct taped together that people have developed over the years that sometimes work and sometimes don't. But there hasn't been like a standard, like this is the one that always works and always does, what's interesting on it. But yeah, that's a huge community.
That charity stream is amazing.
Yeah. So and I know I definitely want to brainstorm with you guys and see what we can figure out, as we get closer. But one idea I had, because I really like the games you guys have in PolyPop. I think that's a really cool idea. And so I was kind of thinking, because you can have objects collide, right? And you can have them move randomly, and you can have an action happen if they do collide. You could do like bumper cars, so that like throw everybody in, and when they hit, like they're out or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's just really cool that, you know, because of how powerful your software is, that you can even like consider doing that. You know what
Imagine
I mean? Like that's
that
a
type of
thing.
shit,
Yeah, it's like
Or like on the like the Twitch cards that like can pull the profile pictures and have them, you know, battle each other and do that stuff. It would be definitely really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great. It's great that we can think in like a whole nother way about, you know, working on a stream and what we can do.
Interactivity and stuff is super cool.
Yeah, I like it that you say interactivity, because that we actually want people to perceive PolyPop as a next level interaction tool. People really get stuck on 3D, which is great and we love it and it's part of it, but it's just a tool to make it more interactive.
Sure.
So yeah.
And that's we're
do you guys have
by the way. Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans for like integrating alerts and or like maybe like a preset that you guys could use for like hype trains and things like that?
Yeah, people have asked about the hype trains. Yeah, I think so. I think it makes sense. What's your? Could you give it like a scenario how that?
I think obviously like you know, there's, you know, obviously multiple levels up to, you know, 100% or things like that. So having customizable either alerts happen when said levels get reached or level 5 or yeah, like, you know, like screen share or whatever, like just being able to kind of, you know, program those events or those things to happen. I think also a visual, like a cool visual representation, you know, would be neat too, even if that's just like a, you know, a simple bar that sets or in a 3-dimensional, you know, way, or, you know, some kind of, you know, scenario that is visual on stream that, you know, could be seen, because, you know, that the, you know, off to the corner, if you're on a mobile or if you're on a, you know, a desktop or something is cool, but to have like a cool, you know, virtual representation that, you know, maybe there's, you know, a bunch of stuff that's like filling up the screen or whatever that generates that hype, that has that kind of.
I was going to say, would you say that hypes it up a little bit? The hype.
That amps up the hype a little bit.
Billy, you got the pump up the jam ready.
A thermometer or something like that.
Yeah,
that's like level 1, level
great.
You know,
shaking the video
definitely neat,
itself, so it's
cool
like
stuff.
an earthquake.
Yeah, it can do anything. Like
it's
if you haven't seen like the video source get blown up and like that thing's super cool. So like just, you know, a bunch of, you know, something else that we could, you know, kind of do that.
Exclamation point pump in the chat. Exclamation point pump in the chat. We're pumping up the jam. Right?
Oh boy.
This is my abuse of PolyPop technology. I put a jar of jam in the corner of the screen, and then every time somebody types pump, it pumps it up. And don't get Nikki started because she has admin privileges and she will just copy paste it.
Or any VIP can do that too.
I love it. I love like I call it abusing the software. I love doing stupid stuff that probably nobody had in mind in the first place.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Not even
we
jam.
love it. We sometimes, you know, I sometimes browse in.
Did you just hear what he said? He's like, it's not even jam, it's preserves.
That's Joshua Carl right there.
We know. It's been
the OCD is
oh boy.
What were you saying? I'm sorry, guys. What were you saying?
Oh no! I just said sometimes we browse, Twitch and looking for people using PolyPop. Just type PolyPop, and sometimes people do really creative, cool stuff. And I know I sent a link to Amo and said, "Oh, look what they did." I said, "Ooh, we haven't thought about that." You know,
that's
really cool.
That's gotta feel good, actually. Seeing people using your software creatively, even in ways that you wouldn't even have imagined. That's got to be awesome.
Yep.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys' time. Before I let you go,
so much.
I want to run it around the Zoom real quick. Any more questions from y'all on the Zoom? Covered it all?
I think I've sufficiently used a lot of their time. Yeah,
for all of us. I put the link for the Donor Drive API in chat there if you want to check it out.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, cool.
Make sure you guys visit the link. Go to polypoplive.com.
Yeah, definitely check out the software if you haven't already checked it out. Connect with us in Discord, and really, we're, as you guys mentioned, we love talking back to the community. We love hearing the ideas. We're very excited to like implement whatever these ideas that you guys have. So if you talk to us, we're always happy to kind of like respond and like just kind of get the conversation going. So definitely join us in Discord. Keep playing around with the app.
And I just want to say. Thank you.
Look at that. That's so awesome. I love it. That's so good. That's so good. Thank you very much.
Yep.
I appreciate you hearing our feedback, and hopefully we didn't come off as like snobby, like rude people or anything like that. Like we really love your application.
That's what Discord's for. We're loving on them. That's right. Espousing our love.
No, really, we really appreciate any feedback. So join our Discord and just like say whatever you want.
Yeah, and thank you for having us on. It was an honor for us too.
Very cool. Our pleasure.
So we're happy to meet you guys too.
Cheers.
Good night.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
See you guys.
I'm not done. Stick around, guys. We're gonna keep talking a little bit. We got a little more shop to talk. That was PolyPop Live coming in, letting us know about their new software. One more time, can we get an exclamation point PolyPop in the chat? This is DJs Not DJing. We're having a great time. I see a bunch of troll raids. Y'all are great. Thanks for reinforcing.
There's a Discord in the chat. I'm hammer timing that right now, so you guys can get in touch with them and everything.
Perfect.
So I was like PolyPop is so cool that I kind of, and it's kind of goes to your point, Fader. It's kind of like I want to tell people about it, but I don't.
Yeah, right. I want it like it's the Pocket Band. Like, this is cool. Like I want it just for me. But
I know. I understand that mentality.
We've let the cat out of the bag for sure.
I understand that mentality, but those that know me know that I'm ultimately okay with spreading it around. And more than anything, it motivates me to be more creative with the tools available. I feel you though. You want to keep this in your pocket is like my Poly Pocket. I go.
Oh boy,
you win, sir.
I went there. I want to send a big thank you to PolyPop Live, and once again, thank you so much for your time. That was outstanding. And thank you so much for the information. You gave us a lot of excitement and hope for the future of the application. You reinforced the stuff that we were curious about. And it was all in all, I'd say it was awesome. What do you guys think? Yeah?
Hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. It was good times.
Good times.